I used to work at a gas station off some rural highway in Ohio. It was a 24-hour gas station. I usually worked from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. The shift always started busy. Lots of people on road trips coming in for coffee and snacks filling up gas, obviously. And usually around 11 to 12 or it would really quiet down there, would still be some people coming in. But once 1 or 2 hit, it was usually dead until the end of my shift. Usually by that time I was just playing games on my phone, doing work for my web classes, or watching movies on my laptop the night in question. I was actually catching up on a TV show I was watching at the time. The road was completely dead at this hour. You could expect to see maybe one car pass by every 5 minutes, and maybe one car came into the lot every 20 minutes to a half hour. The headlights of a car suddenly glared through the window briefly as a car turned into the gas station lot and pulled up to one of the pumps. The car turned off and so did the lights. No one stepped out, though my attention went back to my show. And it did for a while. In fact, it took me a few minutes to realize that the car outside was still there. But no one ever came in to pay for gas, nor was there anyone standing outside filling up the car. It was still just parked next to the pump. It was a bit sketchy, but then again, maybe they were texting or on a call or accounting money. There could be a number of reasons. Finally, I heard a car door shut outside. I paused my show, expecting them to come inside, but the guy just stood by his car. It looks like he was facing down at first, but when I squinted my eyes a little, I saw he was actually looking at me. He finally came over to the door and came inside. The bell of the door rang as some guy with his hood up walked right past the counter. He gave an ever so slight side glance to me. I could see just one of his eyes for a short second, before he turned away and walked to the back section of the store by the snacks. I couldn't see or hear him while he was back there. He seemed to be back there for a while. I called out, "Do you need help, sir?" Not even the slightest sound in response. Just as I was about to come out from around the counter, the man came out from the corner and slowly walks back outside, not looking at me. Once he went back to the pump, opened his passenger side door and seemed to be digging in his car for something. Then he shut the door and looked at me again, regardless of the distance and glass between us. I knew he was looking at me. He lifted his arms and seemed to begin waving me over. I didn't know what to do, but everything about the situation and this man who were freaking me the hell out. He started walking very quickly over to the door, still waving his arms and hands at me. He put one hand in his pocket now while waving with the other. Still, it looked like he was reaching for something. I ran around for the counter and to the door so I could lock it. I managed to with only 3 seconds to spare before he tried pulling it open. This was the first time I could see his face as he looked at me and I looked at him. I noticed his hand in his pocket holding what I was sure was the handle of a blade. I shut the blinds to the windows, as I told him were closed. He still stood there, though I tried to put it out of my mind, but I couldn't, because he started knocking on the glass. He knocked and not conduct, until it turned into more of a banging, screamed a threat to call the cops if he didn't go away. He stopped a few moments after I said that, and I think he walked away. I didn't check. He simply stayed hidden in my corner behind the counter. I gave it 10 minutes before I would open the blinds back up. When I did, I felt a certain kind of horror in my body. When I saw his car was still there. Where was he? Was he in his car or somewhere outside? Paranoid thoughts came to my head, like what if he was by the back door? I felt relieved when another car pulled into the parking lot, and a normal-looking man came to the door. I unlocked it for him, and he came in with 2 20s in his hand. I told them to be careful of that other car, and then we got into a long conversation about what just happened. During the conversation, the other car turned on and finally drove off the man, and I both laughed about it. But when the guy who worked after me finally came in at 4 a.m., I was not laughing. My whole drive home, I was still shaking, thinking about what happens. Nothing that strange ever happened again throughout the rest of my time at that gas station.